हरे कृष्ण। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। So we were seeing parallel the second chapter of first canto, how all the principles that are given and whole Bhagavatam they are applicable. So we have seen that, and now we are seeing that all the past times they end up in sending uh, everybody back home, back to audit. So from the first canto onwards, we are seeing how great personalities living their body. Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Pandavas, and Dhruva Maharaj. Now here, Prithu Maharaj. So and not only alone, even their wife is also, they are also living their body in a very exemplary way. So that is the very important lesson of Srimad Bhagavatam, to help us. And in the end, Parikshit Maharaj, because that is the most important thing for him, how to give up the body. And here we are seeing the same thing. How Archie, although she was not accustomed to such difficulties, Queen Archie followed her husband in the regulative principles of living in the forest like great sages. She lay down on the ground and ate only fruits, flowers, and leaves, and because she was not fit for these activities, she became frail and thin. Yet, because of the pleasure she derived in serving her husband, she did not feel any difficulties. So, the most important thing is we'll be able to control our sense gratification when we have higher taste. So, and the higher taste comes when the heart is satisfied. And the satisfaction of heart is possible only when it is directly connected to the actions of Krishna consciousness. Other activities also satisfy the heart, but it will not remain for long time. But when it comes to Krishna's activities, that is the real satisfaction. Generally, people are satisfied after eating something or watching some movie or some other activities in this world, playing and all. They feel satisfied, and genuinely only they feel satisfied. But what is the problem is after that they uh, they want some alternatives also. But when it comes to Krishna consciousness, this is 100% satisfaction. So then we don't need any alternative for making us happy. So this is one advantage with Krishna. Here, such great austerities are possible. So separately, we need not do austerities. We just have to work on please our spiritual master. That should be the focus. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. And remaining things automatically are taken care. We will only adjust things accordingly. Oh, to serve my guru, I need to have good health. So I will try to maintain good health. So whatever is needed for health, we will do. For serving my guru, I need to have little good stay so that my mind is peaceful. So we make some arrangements for it. We can have a good house. We'll earn money for that. But the purpose is to serve guru only. So in that way, here also, because the focus was very clear, and the end of life, our focus will be serving guru only. So if it is needed that we have to renounce certain things, I say okay, no problem, I want to serve my guru. So here Archie happily she left, and for her the guru is husband only and spiritual master, and he is also Shaktavesh avatar, so it was very easy. And it is said the word bhartur varta dharma nishtaya indicate that woman's duty or religious principles is to serve her husband in all conditions. In Vedic civilization, a man is taught from the beginning of his life to become a brahmachari, then an ideal grahastha, then vanaprastha, then sannyas. And the wife is taught just to follow the husband strictly in all conditions of life. After the period of brahmacharya, a man accepts household life, and the woman is also taught by her parents to be a chaste wife. Thus, when the girl and boy are united, both are trained for a life dedicated to a higher purpose. The boy is trained to execute his duties in accordance with higher purpose of life, and the girl is trained to follow him. The chaste wife duty is to keep her husband pleased in household life in all respects. So that time in Vedic ages, it was very much easy possible. But nowadays, uh, in a practical scenario, all these things are not possible because men are not responsible, and because of which uh, women have to work and maintain themselves. And lifespan also are different, and the social structure conditions are very much different. Both have to work. Previously, it was not needed. Women was very happy at home, but that is not the case now. Even just to survive only, uh, both of them have to work, especially in the big cities. So uh, then the whole scenario is different, whole situation. But that time it was possible. It is said that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, his wife Vishnupriya Devi, although only 16 years old, also took the vow of austerities due to her husband's living home. She chanted on beads, and after finishing one round, she collected one grain of rice. So, in that way, how many rounds she chanted, that much in the evening she cooked and ate. So, they are very ideal. Now, we cannot impose such standards on the present situation because it is not correct also. It's a violence. If you quote the Shastras and say this is what was happening, well, that was happening, but it is not applicable. We have to be very clear because uh, in the Vedic culture, a training was there. People's personalities were like that, but now it is not like that. Both are trained equally, and the situation is different. But what can be taught is to cooperate with each other and to progress in Krishna consciousness. That should be trained. When Queen Archie saw her husband, who has been so merciful to her, and the earth no longer showed symptoms of life, she lamented for a little while and then built a fire prey on top of a hill and placed the body of her husband on it. Oh, this is the Popper gives very nice point. He says that Queen Queen was completely aware that her husband was not dead. Although the symptoms of life, action, intelligence, senses has ceased, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmi neta dehe komaram evaram jara. So she understood that he only transferred. So when living entity transfers one body, the process generally known as death. A sane man does not lament. And what Prabhupada is speaking, he has full realization. He's a realized person. So instead of wasting her time in lamentation, she immediately prepared a fiery prey of on top of a hill and then placed the body of her husband on it to burn. Maharaj Priti is described here as Daita. For not only was he the king of earth, but he treated the earth as his protected child. Similarly, protected his wife. It was the duty of king to protect and give protection to everyone. Uh, it was very nice uh, point here that she immediately understood what she should do. So she did not become emotional. And that's actually what generally happens. So we get affected very emotionally because our intelligence is not very strong. But here, Archie had a very strong intelligence. She immediately over controlled her emotions with the help of intelligence. And we are intelligence is weak. That's why we do sense gratification. Intelligence is weak. That's why we lament. Intelligence is weak. That's why we get affected by things. That is what is a Shudra. Shudra means who does not have intelligence. Who laments is called Shudra. And that's why Kali Yuga, Kalo Shudra Sambhava. Nobody has proper intelligence. Everybody is doing sense gratification. Nobody is interested in self realization. A person who is having proper buddhi, they are very clear about the purpose of life and higher goal, and they use their intelligence accordingly. Here, at least they live they know the purpose. They may live dharmic life, but they also very clear about the purpose. So when it comes to sense gratification, then they They know, okay, this much is limited, and after that we should not do. But now it is not there because our intelligence is very weak. Here, this is showing very nice example. After this, the queen executed the necessary funeral functions and offered oblations of water. After bathing in river, she offered obeisances to various demigods situated in the sky in different planetary systems. She then circumambulated the file, and while thinking of the lotus feet of her husband, entered the flames. So this is a very tough thing, and Prabhupada writes nice point. He says the entrance of a chaste wife into the flames of the prey of her husband, dead husband, is known as gamana, which means dying with the husband. This system of saha gamana had been practiced in Vedic civilization from time immemorial. Even after the British period in India, this practice was rigidly observed, but as soon as it degraded to a point that even when the wife was not strong enough to enter the fire of her husband, the relatives would force her to enter. Thus, this practice had to be stopped. But even today, there are still some solitary cases where wife voluntarily enters the fire of a and die with her husband. Even after 1940, we personally knew the chaste wife who died in the way. And I think a few years back also somebody did in UP, one Mataji, she left her body like that. Actually here no, very few cases happened where they were forcefully sent like that. But that was taken by Britishers. I am just trying to tell some political things. But I wanted to make this point. What happened? East India Company, they did not allow Christian missionaries to come to in. They said, you come, but if you do any complaint comes on you, we'll immediately throw you out of the country. So East India Company don't want that Christian missionaries preach in India. So they said, okay, you are coming, but we don't want any complaint. So now Christian missionaries, they want to somehow preach. Then what they did, they took such cases. Some, it's not very frequent. Some rare cases of where women are forced to enter into fire, and then they presented in the British Parliament, and they said these people are too primitive. They're very barbaric, and we need to uncivilize. So we need to educate them. So they got permission from British government that this Christian missionaries to educate Indians because they have such very barbaric rituals like sati and all these things. So then they allowed, and after that they could do little more schools and other things. So from there onwards they started their missionary schools. So then means, but it was not very frequently done like that. But it was projected like that so that they can come and do some preaching in India. Anyway, after observing this brave act performed with the chaste wife Archie, the wife of the king Prithu, many thousands of the wives of demigods, along with their husband, offered prayers to the queen, for they were very much satisfied. So this is a very special act, and very few people can do, and it's not needed now because if you chant Hare Krishna, and you can go back to God. And if husband is not going back to God, he's going to some heavenly planets. The wife may end up in heavenly planets. But instead of that, she chants Hare Krishna and remembers Krishna, she can go to Golok also. So point is, this is better than that. But if a husband is a devotee and destination is very clear, that's a different case. But it's not sure where he will go. So better is to chant and depend on Guru and go to spiritual world. At the time, the demigods were situated on the top of Mandara hill, and all their wives began to shower flowers on the funeral pyre and began to talk among themselves. And this is the and then they say Deochu Ahoyam Dhrum Dhanya Ya Chaivam Bhubhujam Patim Sarvatmanam Patim Deja Yagnesham Sir Vadhuriva. The wives of the demigod said, "All glories to Queen Archi." We can see that this queen of the great King Prithu, the emperor of all kings, the world, served her husband with mind, speech, and body exactly as the goddesses of fortune serves the supreme personality of Godhead or Vishnu. Now they are glorifying not Prithu Maharaj, they are glorifying Archi. Such a great person. So even glorification also purifies our heart. So purpose of glorifying such great personalities is for our own good. What happens is anything that pleases Krishna purifies heart. You can understand, you can keep it as a point. If I want to purify my heart, only formula is I have to please Krishna. And Krishna will be pleased when you glorify him. Krishna will be pleased when we glorify his devotees. Krishna will be pleased when we serve him, and will be more pleased when we serve his devotees. So that is why whole day we want to do an activity which is pleasing Krishna, either hearing his glories or his devotees, serving him or serving his devotees. And more important is serving Krishna is very tough, but serving his devotees is easy. Oh, we serve his devotees and please Krishna very fast. And then what happens? We become clean in heart. And clean heart is proportionate to happy heart. To the degree heart is clean, to the degree we are happy. So formula is very simple. So here they are glorifying because, and the glorification also means our aspiration. I am want to get this. That's why I'm glorifying it. If I am glorifying sports player or anything, it means I want to get what they have. But if I am glorifying such great personalities, so then it is uh, I want to become like them. So this is the formula we should understand. Whomever I am glorifying. So in this verse, the word Yagnesham Sirir. So so it is Queen Archie served her husband just as goddess of fortune served the supreme personality of God Vishnu. We can observe that even in the history of the world, when Lord Krishna, the supreme Vishnu, was ruling over Dwaraka, Queen Rukmini, who was the chief of all Krishna's queens, used to serve Krishna personally in spite of having many hundreds of maid servants to assist her. So this is means to serve Krishna is such a pleasure. So so it was easy for means the goddess of fortune also felt this is what I should do. So we should take lessons from her that this is the most happiest thing that can happen in our life is to get an opportunity to serve Krishna. And Prabhupada said we should understand the necessity for maintaining family life in human society and should all, thus abolish this artificial law known as divorce. The husband and wife should live in Krishna conscious and follow in the footsteps of Lakshmi Narayana or Krishna and Rukmini. In this way, peace and harmony can be possible within the world. So, in Vedic civilization, husband and wife are not separated by such man-made laws of as divorce. But the problem now it became more complicated. So Prabhupada also allowed women getting separated from man when it came in a practical situations when a husband is very non-devotee and he's so much violent and other such cases where he was not favorable and very hostile environment. And because Prabhupada understood in a practical scenario, he allowed. And so then he said, okay, you live separately and practice Krishna consciousness. So that was there. But uh, so we have to go with the practical situation. See, ultimately, one thing is our mind should meditate on Krishna. So whatever is the favorable situation, we can accept and meditate on Krishna. So at the end of life, what is counted is whether our mind is able to meditate on Krishna or not. If we live a sinful life, then it is not possible. But if you live a pious life or good life, a dharmic life, then it becomes a little easy to meditate on Krishna. So if somebody is uh, not taking responsibility after marrying and he is doing some wrong activities, definitely he will not be able to meditate on Krishna. So that is the point. So even if he is not happy with his wife, he can live separately, but he should not do any mischief after that. He can just focus on Krishna consciousness and meditate on Krishna focus like that. So that is the point. You cannot become, you cannot do mischief. The wives of the demigods continue. Just see how this chaste lady, Archie, by dint of her inconceivable pious activities, is still following her husband upwards as far as we can see. So both of them, they were, because this is a very nice formula that is given by the Lord. If wife is following her husband, both of them will get the same destination. They can go together. So if she not do so much austerities and all, if husband is doing, she just have to follow him and let him do, and she will also get half of the credit. So here we see the ladies are simply astonished to see how Prithu and his wife achieved such an exalted position. Although they were the wives of denizens of higher planet systems, Prithu Maharaj was an inhabitant of an inferior planetary system, the earth. The king, along with his wives, passed beyond the realm of the demigods and went upward to Vaikuntha. And the word Urdhvam is significant here, for the ladies speaking were from the higher planet systems, which include the moon, sun, and Venus up to Brahmaloka. So, since they were carried by two separate airplanes, it may be concluded that even after being burnt in the funeral prey, they remained separate, individual persons. In other words, they never lost their identity. So, this is also Prabhupada wanted to clarify. So the ladies of higher planet system were capable of seeing both downward and upward. When they looked down, they saw that the body of Prithu was being burnt and that his wife Archie was entering into the fire. And when they look upward, they could see how they were being carried in two aeroplanes to Vaikuntha Loka. All of this is possible simply by Druvibhavyena Karmana, inconceivable activities. Prithu Maharaj was a pure devotee and his wife Archie simply followed her husband. Thus, they can both be considered pure devotees and they are capable of performing inconceivable activities. So, this is speciality. What about husband following a devoted wife? Yeah, it is. Devotee means anybody who is more advanced, we can follow them. So, not a problem. If a wife is more advanced and it can help husband also, he just have to take inspiration. And I know many cases also where wife is more serious than husband, and that helps the husband, and husband also acknowledges, Roji, my wife is more serious than me. I said, okay, do whatever she's doing, you follow. And they, because for women, if for them to get convinced and to follow, why they are called Dharma Patni, this is one of the reasons. What happens is husband, he goes ahead, he follows certain dharma, and wife is behind. Now, after following certain standard, if husband want to come back, he want to reduce the standard, the wife will not let him do it because she gets attached to that dharma, and that's why she is called dharma patni. She will always help him move forward only. She will not allow him. So if we see all the rituals and all that are maintained by women very nicely in the families, the traditions and all are maintained by women. The big mother-in-law comes, she says this festival should be done like this should be done, all the rituals should be there, and they're very particular. In every house they will have some elderly woman who is very particular about all the rituals. And husband, they just go out here there, I know they are doing time pass, and the woman will come, okay, come sit, do this puja. So this happens, in any case. So the point is they are protector of dharma. That's why called dharma patni. Uh, and husband follows dharma, but woman has a tendency to go back. But if he is married and wife is there, then he will not go back. She will make sure that he does not. She need to be taught what is the standard, and she will maintain the standard. So women need to get the training. Okay, this is the standard, and after that, for her it becomes easy. And that is how the psychophysical nature is. For man, he will be little more. Little more he for him it is difficult, so unless his intelligence, he get distracted very fast. So unless he comes to vijnana level, that is the point. So woman is needed for that. That's why she is called dharma patni, because she is protector of dharma in the sense, why whatever he gives the standard, she will protect. If he is the if that's why many of the any religious functions you will find many women only. The reason is this: their nature is that they will follow whatever standard is given. Of course, now it is not happening. Women and men, they are equally doing sense gratification. Nobody is interested in any rituals, but still something is there in India. I don't know how long it will be there. Krishna says, uh, Atyanta sukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. The Lord here declares that this material world is full of miseries, asukham. At the same time, is very flickering, anityam, uh, anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. Therefore, one's only duty is to engage himself in devotional service. This is the best end to which human life can be put. Those devotees who are constantly engaged in service of lotus feet of Lord achieve not only all material benefit but also all spiritual benefits. For at the end of life, they go back home, back to God. So both the benefits we get by serving Krishna materially also. In this world, Naishkarmyam, which means transcendental knowledge, is also significant. Unless one come to the platform transcendental knowledge and offer devotional service to the Lord, one is not perfect. Generally, the process of jnana, yoga, and karma executed life after life before one get a chance to render pure devotional service. So we have done karma, jnana, yoga many lifetimes. We didn't do bhakti, that's why we are caught. This chance is given by the grace of a pure devotee, and it is in this way only that one can actually attain liberation. In the context of the narration, the wives of demigods represent repent because although they had opportunity of a birth in higher plant systems, a lifetime spanning millions of years and all material comforts, they are not as fortunate as Prithu Maharaj and his wife, who are actually surpassing them. So, in other words, Prithu Maharaj, his wife, scrolled proportion to higher plant systems and even to Brahmaloka and attained in which was incomparable. So Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punye mritalokam vashanti. So after the pious grades occur, they have to come back. That's why what is important? Naishkarma vachada bhavarjitam. So we have to perform bhakti, which is the most important thing. Any other activity, it's a waste of time only. We have wasted many lifetimes like that. So here we don't want to waste some more time. At least this lifetime we'll practice. Savanchito bhatat madrik krachendra mata bhuvi labdva pavargam manushyam vishayeshu visarjate. Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitates great struggle, and who after obtaining human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficult task of fruitive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. Such a nice point. So savanchito bhatatmadrik. So envious of himself. Atmadrik means envious of himself. Vanchitaha means cheated. So he's cheating himself. After getting such a nice opportunity of performing bhakti, if you are not doing, And this is what it is compared. So in this material world, people are engaged in different activities simply to achieve a little success in sense gratification. The karmis are engaged in performing very difficult activities, and thus they open gigantic factories, build huge cities, make big scientific discoveries, etc. Other words, they are engaged in performing very costly sacrifices in order to be promoted to higher plant systems. So this is how people are engaged. Now they are interested in making big industries and other advancement. But here the word Vishaya denotes sense gratification. The karmis flatly state that they want sense gratification. So this is a very unfortunate situation. Niradeham adhyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam gurukarnadharam मायानुकालेन नभस्वतेर्णं पुमान् भवाभिर्न atmaha. So here also it is said that he is when one come to cross the ocean, he requires a strong boat and he need the help of a spiritual master. If he is not doing, it is said wasting time and life in this way is same as committing suicide. So the word Labdvapavargyam is significant in this verse because, according to Jiva Goswami, Apavargyam or the path of liberation does not refer to merging into impersonal, but to Salokadi Siddhi, to attaining the planet of the Lord. So here Prithu Maharaj and Archi they successfully made it. So then Maitreya says, Maitreya Uvacha तत्त्वैतीश्वामृतस्त्रि स्त्रीषु पतिलोकं गतावधू यं वा आत्मविदां धुर्यो विनत्यपां प्रापच्युताश्रयः. The great sage Maitreya concluded, speaking, My dear Vidura, when the wives of denizens of heaven were thus talking among themselves, Queen Archi reached the planet which her husband Maharaj Prithu, the topmost self-realized soul, has attained. So they are going with all of them. According to Vedic scriptures, a woman who dies with her husband or enters into the fire in which her husband is burning also enter the same planet her husband attains. In this world, there is a planet known as Pitraloka, just as there is planet known as Pitraloka. By this verse, the word Patiloka does not refer to any planet within the material world. For Spiritual Maharaj, being topmost among self-realized souls, and certainly returned home back to God. So she also entered there. So here, uh, many of the women they want to leave their body before husband, so they want to die as Sumangali. So they feel that's also a glorious passing of the body. So they also go to higher planetary systems, but not to the spiritual world. Spiritual world is only possible by devotees. So material higher planet systems, many pious people they all go there. But what is the use? So according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, a husband and wife can turn the home into a place as good as Vaikunta. Je dine grihate bhajana dekhi grihate goloka bhaya. He says that even in the world, husband and wife can live in Vaikunta simply by installing deity of the Lord within the house and serving the deity according to direction of the Shastras. In this way, they will never uh, uh, feel the urge. That is a test of advancement in sex urge. That is the test of advancement devotional service. One who is advanced in devotional service is never attracted to sex life, and as soon as one becomes detached from sex life and proportionally attached to the service of the Lord, he actually experiences living in Vaikuntha planet. In the ultimate issue, there is actually no material world. But when one forgets the service of the Lord and engages himself in service of his senses, he is said to be living in the material world. हितं भूतानुभावोऽसौ पृथुसा भगवतात्मनः कीर्तितं तस्य चरितम् उदारं चरितस्य ते. Maitreya continued, the greatest of all devotees, Maharaj Prithu, was very powerful and his charities were liberal, magnificent, and magnanimous. Thus, I have described you as far as possible. So, in this verse, the word Bhagavatamaha is very significant. The word Bhagavat is used especially to refer personality of Godhead, and the word Bhagavan is derived from the word Bhagavat. Sometimes, however, we see that the word Bhagavan is used for great personalities like Brahma, Shiva, Narada Muni. This is the case with Prut Maharaj, who is described as best of the Bhagavatas or best of the lords. And then next verse says that ये idam sumatah punyam श्रद्धयावहिता pate श्रेये शृण्याद्वापि स प्रतोपदवीं. Any person who describes the great characteristics of King Prithu with faith and determination, whether he reads or hears of them himself, helps others to hear of them, is certain to attain very planet which Maharaj Prithu attained. In other words, such a person also returns home to Vaikuntha planet, back to Godhead. So this is Falashruti. You make them hear, our consciousness also will be so purified that we will be elevated to that level. That is the point here. So in the execution of devotional service, Sarvanam Kirtanam Vishnu is especially stressed. This means that bhakti or devotional service begins by hearing and chanting about Vishnu. When we speak of Vishnu, we also refer to that which relate to Vishnu. In the Padma Puran, Lord Shiva recommends Tadiyanam, so anything connected to the Lord. So for Maitreya has explained that anyone who hears about Prithu Maharaj with attention also attains the planet which Maharaj Prithu attained. There is no duality between Vishnu and Vaishnava. This is called Advaya Jnana. Vaishnava is an important as Vishnu. Therefore, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur wrote in Guru Ashtaka, Sakshadharitvena Samasta Shastre. So, the Supreme Vaishnava, the spiritual master, and is non-different from the personality of Godhead. So it is said that sometimes Lord Chaitanya used to chant the name of gopis. Some of the Lord students try to advise him to chant the name of Krishna instead, but upon hearing this, Lord Chaitanya became very angry with his students. The controversy of this subject reached to a point that after this incident, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas because he was not taken very seriously in his grahasthashram. The point is that since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted the names of the gopis, worship of the gopis or the devotees of Lord is as good as devotional service rendered directly to the Lord. It is also stated that by the Lord Himself, the devotional service to His devotees is better than serving offered directly to Him. So we discussed also serving devotees more important than and easier also serving the Lord. Sometimes Sahajiya class of devotees are interested only in Krishna's personal pastimes in the execution of activities of the devotees. This type of devotee is not a very high level. One who sees the devotee and Lord on the same level or has further progressed. So next verse says that in one if one hears the characteristics of Prithu Maharaj and is a Brahmana, he becomes perfectly qualified with Brahmanical powers. If he is a Kshatriya, he becomes a king of the world. If he is a Vaishya, he becomes the master of other Vaishyas and many animals. And if Shudra, becomes a topmost devotee. So this is the benefit. And Srimad Bhagavatam recommended that one should become a devotee regardless of one's condition. whether one is without desires or akama, sarvakama, mokshakama, but serving Lord is becoming devotee is very important. So Prabhupada said, to take birth in a family of Brahmana is not the ultimate finishing touch. One must have the power of a Brahmana, which is called Brahma Tejas. Similarly, taking birth in a royal family is not all in all. One must possess the power to rule the world. Similarly, taking birth in Vaishya is not all in all. So Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. So a person who is born in a Shudra can become greater than Brahmana simply by accepting devotional service. So these are the points Prabhupada wanted to share in this commentary. He says that next verse we'll see, it does not matter whether one is a man or woman. Anyone who with great respect hears this narration of Maharaj Prithu will become parent of many children. If without children, one will become richer in with if without money. So if you don't have money, you can read Prithu Maharaj section again and again, and you'll get money. This is Bhagavatam's promise. अपे अस् अस्पष्टकीर्तित्सु यस्य मूर्खो भवति पंडितः इदं स्वस्य अयं पुंसाम् अमङ्गलं नैवारणम्. Also, one who hears the narration three times will become very reputed if he is not recognized in society, if he becomes a great scholar, if he is a illiterate. In other words, hearing the narrations of Prithu Maharaj is so auspicious that it drives away all bad luck. So much benefit is there in this story. So, even material also we can get benefited by reading Bhagavatam. धन्यं यस्यम् आयुषं स्वर्गं कालमलापहम् धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणां सम्यक् सिद्धिम् अभीप्सुभिः श्रद्धधीयति अनुश्रीव्यं चातुरं चतुरानं कारणं परम. He says that by hearing the narrations of Prithu Maharaj, one can become great, increase his duration of life, gain promotion to higher planetary systems, counteract the contamination of age of Kali. In addition, one can promote the cause of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and elevation. Therefore, from all sides, it is advisable for a materialistic person. So this is all for recommendation materialistic person who is interested in such things to read and hear the narrations of life and characters of Prithu Maharaj. So, such a long falastuti is given for this chapter. Not all chapter has such a big falastuti. He says, Vijayabhimukko Raja Shrutvaitat Abhiyatiyan Balim Tasmin Harantagre Rajnya Prithiveyata. If the king who is desirous of attaining victory and ruling power chant the narrations of Prithumaras three times before going forth on chariot, all subordinate kings will automatically render all kinds of taxes upon to him as they render them upon Maharaj Prithu, simply under his order. So, such a nice benefit you are getting by reading these narrations. मुख्यं संगो भगवत्या अमलां भक्तिमुद्वहन् विन्यस्य चरितं पुण्यं शून्याचार्यते पतये. A pure devotee who is executing the different process of devotional service may be situated in a transcendental position, being completely absorbed in Krishna conscious. But even he, while discharging devotional service, must hear and read and induce others to hear about the characters and life of Prithu Maharaj. So the great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidra, I have as far as possible spoke the narrations about Prithu Maharaj, which enrich devotional attitudes. Whoever takes advantage of these benefits also go back home, back to Godhead. And then he concludes. Whoever with great reverence and adoration regularly reads, chants, and describes the history of Maharaj Prithu activity will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction to the lotus feet of Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are boat by which one can cross the ocean of nations. So the word Bhava Sindhu Pota Pade is significant in this verse. The lotus feet of Lord are known as Mahat Padam, which means that the source of material existence rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. Everything emanates from me. So this cosmic manifestation, which is compared to an ocean of nations, is also resting on the lotus feet of the Lord. So we can go back home, back to God just by reading Pitumara. That means we try to develop that qualities. So this position can also be op, can also be achieved very easily by narrating the history of Prithumara's regularly every day. The word Mimukha Sangaha is also significant in this connection because he associated with three qualities of mental nature. Our position in metal world is full of danger, but when we engage in devotional service of the Lord by the process of Shravan and Kirtana, we immediately become Vimukta Sangha, liberated. Thus, in the Bhaktivinoda purport of the fourth canto, 23rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Maharaj Prithu Going Back Home. So, thank you all very much. Any comments? शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, तंत्रा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। हरे कृष्णा।